So what do we do instead? We take the good, the original intent of All Hallows Eve, and we celebrate that. So this... My wife and I are doing something that we've wanted to do for quite some time now, since we've gotten married at least, not celebrate Halloween. Really, we haven't celebrated Halloween since we've been married. In college, I think there was definitely times where we dressed up, went to little costume parties. But when we got married, that's just not something we decided to do as a family. And now as we have kids, that's still something we've not decided to do. But what we have decided to do is something a little bit different. First, let me say a little bit why we don't want to celebrate Halloween. There's a lot out there, and there's a lot of conversation out there. I'm not trying to get into a big debate about Halloween and evil and Satanism and all that stuff that's mixed in there. What I do want to say is, from what I've heard, there's enough convicting me that's not something I want to play around with. Of course, there's Samhain Festival and ancient Celtic traditions there. The netherworld coming with the living world, that barrier being thin, and that's where they dressed up to blend in. There's a lot of dark stuff that goes into that. But of course, then Christianity also came. And in the 8th century, Gregory the Great, Pope Gregory, I'm not sure which one, he's the one that put November 1st as All Saints' Day. So part of that was to get a alternative to Halloween. So from a very early time in the church, we see this kind of dichotomy between Samhain's Festival and All Saints' Day. And over the years, All Saints' Day and Samhain's meshed. Because what you see in the church in general, like all of our major holidays, to a degree, have roots in other traditions. Because that's just very much the type of religion that Christianity is. It goes into a culture, it sees the good in that culture, elevates it to be Christ-centered. So with Halloween, what you see is that it's a tradition to have vigils for special feasts. So All Saints' Day, the day before, would be the eve of All Saints, or Hallow Eve, All Hallows Eve, where we see a reverencing of those that have gone before us, those holy people who've lived and now have died. So All Hallows Eve slowly transformed to what we see now as Halloween. So there's that mix and that mingle between Samhain's, that Celtic ancient tradition, and All Saints' Day, specifically All Hallows Eve or All Saints' Day's Eve. So what we're doing is we're going to celebrate All Saints' Day. Because if that's where traditionally the point of Christianizing, if you will, Samhain's, taking the good and making it better with Christ, then why don't we focus on that? Because nowadays what we see with Halloween is, if you look at the fruit, you know a tree by its fruit. So what is the fruit of Halloween? This is something we've been thinking about every so often as we take walks around our neighborhood in the evening. When you look at the decoration, well, what type of decoration is it? You answer that question. When you drive around, when you are going home and you pass houses in your neighborhood, what type of decorations are up? Is it pictures of saints, of angels, or is it skeletons and ghosts and zombies and other dead things? When we go for walks, our daughter Avril was always asking, what's this? What's this? What's this? And something like, yeah, it's a skeleton, or that's a dead person maybe even. But there's certain things that, well, I don't want to tell you what that is because that's not edifying to you. You don't need to know that as a 2.5-year-old. So when we look at Halloween and we look at the fruit, there's a lot of death, decay, fear. If you look at the mainstream movies, all the movies out, and we get a whole tangent about Hocus Pocus, we get a whole tangent about those movies about witchcraft. I won't go into that. But if you look at the fruit, it's a lot of them, except for the kid-friendly ones, which aren't actually kid-friendly, are all about producing fear. And that's not the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord is not fear. So a big reason we don't celebrate Halloween is just, even if you say, I have a really good community and we celebrate the saints, we don't glorify sin, we don't do all those things that you see in mainstream culture, that could be good. We don't live in a Christian society anymore. And if we lived in a Christian society, then Halloween could be a very good holiday for us because it's a remembrance of the dead, of our own death. It's important to remember our own death and to our frailty and to remember those that came before us. But we live in a culture that doesn't glorify that aspect of Halloween. It glorifies sin and debauchery and death. There's a lot of statistics about crime going up on Halloween. Of course, there's some of that with the anonymity behind a mask. But I've heard a lot of testimonies from people that have been involved in the cult, that are involved in satanic type religions, just that darkness, that it's a special day for them, Halloween or Samhain's or just whatever that time may be. It's a special day for some of that dark stuff. So we choose not to be part of that. Like I said, I think there can be good in Halloween. I think there's a lot of merit in with the traditions of Halloween and what it originally was, but it's not that anymore. We don't live in a culture that it is anymore. If you live on a property of land with 15 other very Catholic families and you want to do your own Halloween celebration, go for it. But if you don't, I encourage you to not celebrate Halloween because your kids don't need that much candy. Plus, you're probably going to eat most of the candy anyway. And you also probably don't want your kids to see a half-dead zombie, a promiscuous religious figure, whatever. There's a lot that's wrong that you don't want to. But what's the alternative? Because I think that's a big thing that my wife and I would talk about. I didn't really have a problem giving it up. But my wife said, well, no, it's fun. I want to be involved in the festivities. There's also something just special about fall, and a lot of that stuff seems to coincide, fall and Halloween. So what do you do? Because we don't want Christianity to be a boring religion. There's enough boring stuff in the world. We don't want to be just another boring thing that takes all the fun out of the world. It's easy for people that convert to the faith to think that you have to just be whitewashed and clean and orderly and just do everything right and perfectly and don't cause any trouble. No, we like to cause trouble. So what do we do instead? We take the good, the original intent of All Hallows Eve, and we celebrate that. So this year, what we're doing, after 3 years of wanting to do it and 3 years of following through with plans, our fault, we're having an All Saints Day party. So we're inviting other families to come and to dress up. But they're dressing up as particularly religious figures, as saints that they honor, as angels, as these figures that have gone before us. And with that, we'll do events. We'll have fun. We're going to cook meals in honor of those people. For example, we're going to make ribs in honor of Adam and Eve. We're going to make some mulled wine in honor of the blood of the martyrs. We're going to do these fun things that will honor them. So, next Saturday, maybe have an All Saints Day party. You're a week out, but you can still throw some together. Instead of going out on Friday night and celebrating Halloween, go out on Saturday and celebrate All Hallows Eve. Kid-friendly, throw an event. Young adult-friendly, throw an event. Dress up as a favorite saint, particular saint. You can have a lot of fun with it. You can not tell people, and people can have to guess who you are. You can have different games. You can have a lot of different events that go into that. If you need help planning, don't ask me. I get a lot of my ideas from Be a Heart. They have a complete saint guide. They have these cute pictures of saints where they have an online shop where you can get plates and you can get posters and you can get flyers. They have a complete thing. They even give you recipes that you can do, games that you can do. They give you all that information for free, and then you can buy stuff as well to elevate the party. But seriously, our lives have to look different. We can't just go celebrate Halloween like everyone else, because everyone else celebrates Halloween with indulging on candy, dressing as they shouldn't, living a life and glorifying a life of debauchery and sin. It's that kind of one excuse a year to kind of act however you want in the name of fun. But no, honor the Lord with All Saints Day. And for all my Christian brothers and sisters out there, if you have a problem with All Saints Day, I don't want to get into a big theological debate here. I don't think online is really ever a place for that. But the scriptures heavily talk about the saints. Jesus says it's God of the living, not God of the dead, that he's the God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Jesus himself on the Transfiguration, Moses appears. Isaiah appears. We see that there is that veil, but that they're still there. They're with God, and we're just like you ask a brother to pray for you. Just ask someone in your community to pray for you. We're asking the saints to pray for us. That's a short theology of saints. There's a lot more out there, but there shouldn't be a problem with the saints. And if you do have a problem with the Catholic idea of saints, then dress up like Billy Graham. Dress up like a big key figure in your church, Martin Luther. Any of those people that you find value from, dress up like them. The point is, Halloween typically honors and produces a fruit that is dark, death, scary, indulgent, where All Saints Day, All Hallows Eve, celebrates life. Lives lived for Christ. It's a remembrance of our death, but in a hope at a resurrection. It's glorifying those who've come before us. So I'd encourage you, look into it. Be a heart. Like I said, they have all these wonderful resources. Plus, you won't have to go to the dentist in a month. Our lives have to look different. And we want to show our kids what it means to be fully alive in the Catholic faith, fully alive in their Christian faith, to see the tradition of those who've come before us, to hear about young people, old people, religious sisters, lay people, business people, all these type of people. There's a beauty plethora of the saints that have come before us. And All Saints Day party can be an opportunity for our kids to learn, to see that you too can be a saint, and to celebrate that, because that's a gift. So go honor the saints, not with trick-or-treating, but I want you to go look up your favorite saint, see what they look like, see if you can dress up like them, look up maybe recipes to honor them, and go celebrate with your friends the goodness of the Lord and the people that have come before us.